Hello, everybody. I'm Roadblock, and we are back on the free to play. Um, this is gonna be probably a very short episode, and I know I'm notorious for saying that and then putting on a half-hour long episode, but I don't think that's gonna be the case today. The main thing that I just wanted to get on camera is me finally getting Mithrala. Let's go. So we've been hard at work on that, and we finally get rewarded with Mithrala. So let's go ahead and summon her. I am going to summon her right away because we are in the middle of Clan v Clan, which is a great time to pull her, and she is one of the champions that I actively want. A champions like Yannicka and even Yukaro, who I held off on summoning for quite a long time, and Drexstar, those champions are good. There's nothing like it's not that I didn't want them. It was just that they're good points for champion chase events, right? In the case of Mithrala, she is too good to wait. She's one of the best champions in the game, in my opinion. Just gonna unlock a lot of different areas of the game for me. Um, she's gonna heavily improve my Hydra because I think she's my only Hex champion. So, not to mention, yeah, my only cleanser too, because I didn't get Elva, and other than Reliquary Tender, she is just absolutely incredible, and I'm very, very excited to pull her. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get her. And we're gonna get a big chunk of points too. Um, I'm wearing my headphones and they're not even plugged in. So there's the 30,000. 30,000 points for her. So that's a big chunk. That's going to really make a dent in my Clan v Clan score as well. So if we take a look at my score, currently at 126,000. So doing really good on points. Oh, yeah, did I finish the tournament? I feel like I did. Maybe I can open that too. I don't think I did that on camera. Yeah, okay. I don't think I did that on this account. I did it on my other account this morning. Yeah, we got 60 right there. All right, we're really hoping for Newt. That's going to be huge if we can pull Newt. So here we go. Five-star Brogni. All right, 15,000 points too. I'm not mad at it. I don't have him, obviously, but I'm not mad at 15,000 points. That's for sure. That's a big chunk. And, if we ever get Brogni, we're going to be sitting pretty strong. I mean, that's one of our highest blessings that we have, along with Syl. Yeah, I am not at all upset at that one. Let's go over Mithrala's kit real quick, since we were just talking about her and kind of why I think she's one of the best champions of the game. So right out the gate, she is a Void champion. This kind of improves the value of a champion inherently. Now, don't get me wrong. There are bad Void champions out there, but Void champions have the advantage when it comes to affinity. You don't have to worry about negative affinity matchups. Therefore, they are legitimately good everywhere. You hear those terms thrown out all the time, like, oh, Newt's good everywhere. Elva's good everywhere, that kind of thing. But there are affinity issues that you will run into from time to time. For example, I had a difficult time with my Sand Devil team getting Newt past a certain point. But with Void Champions, you don't have to deal with that. I know this is obvious stuff, but I think it's one of the parts of this champion that gets slept on a little bit, with them being a free champion. It's the same thing with Lydia and even Vizix that I think I forget a lot. Because usually by the time you get Vizix, you probably have some type of champion that fills the role that Vizix does. But she is Void. So maybe she's that little help that you can get over some of those hurdles in the game. Now let's go back talking about Mithrala here and kind of talk about her kit. First, A1 attacks 2 times on random with a chance to place poison. It's a 100% chance to place that poison debuff. Also, her damage is based on her defense, which is wonderful because you get to build a champion for defense. I will say that you don't want to go too heavy on defense. We'll talk about that when we get to the A3. I was just previewing that to make sure my thoughts were correct, and they were. So now let's talk about that's kind of a basic A1, right? There's nothing too special about it, but it's still poisons. They add up over time. Good for bosses. Good for anything, really. You're not gonna be. You're never. There's never a point where you're like, I really wish I didn't have those poisons right now. Um, the A2 attacks all enemies and places a hex debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 60% increased defense buff and a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. So I mostly think of this as the hex placement ability, but I often overlook the fact that she brings increased defense and increased attack on it. Now it books down to a 3 turn cooldown. She can be your increased attack champion in a dungeon while bringing other mechanics. She can also bring your increased defense champion in a dungeon or a boss or whatever. I mean, that's the part that I think for me personally, I forget about a lot. The number of times I've put Mithrala into a team and been like, okay, there's my hex and my cleanse. Okay, what else do I need? All right, I need increased attack. Okay, here's arbiter or X, something along those lines. Completely forgetting the fact that she not only has one but both on the same ability. Also, increased defense on all allies. I'm going to take a look at that. Let's go through her kit, and then I want to look at how many champions I have on my account that can even do that. Obviously, Ursula is one. Coming to mind, that's all I can think of. But, yeah, great ability. And you know what? To be fair to Ursula, she does have technically both increased defense and increased attack. They're just on 2 separate abilities, but she does have both of them. And then with the A3, we have a full cleanse, remove all debuffs from all allies, and then places a strengthen buff, as well as a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's max HP on all allies for 2 turns. This is huge. 30% of Mithrala's HP. She's got good base HP. You can build her heavy into HP. I've done that on my account. So even though she is defense-based, you can build her heavy and max HP, which is what I do in order to get really big shields out of her, and it does tend to be a large shield. And then lastly, it's a long read, but basically there's petrification. If a champion under Hex attacks, there's a chance that they could become petrified. If an ally is attacked while under Hex, there's a chance they could become petrified. As far as I know, and I could be wrong because new champions have been added, but as far as I know, she's the only champion in the game that has petrification. Petrification is a very interesting debuff if we pull it up. So it's kind of like a combination of stun and freeze in a way. So they will have all their buffs removed. They cannot take their next turn. Let's see. They cannot receive buffs, but they are susceptible to receiving more debuffs. Instant effects do not work on them, except for remove debuffs, so you can cleanse it off. And then they receive only 40% of incoming damage, but I didn't know this until reading it, they increase the damage coming from bombs. I didn't know that. That's a very interesting part of that kit. I was unaware of the increased bomb damage. So, the last part, and this is what I love about this kit, more than anything else about this kit, and petrification is a game changer. Full cleanse is a game changer. Hex AoE is, those are all massive, but I think what puts her over the top, and this is just my opinion, but what puts her over the top for me is this one line right here. Also, increases this champion's resistance. The amount by which it has increased is equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. Now, she is a debuffer. She places 2 different debuffs. You're going to want to build her in heavy accuracy, but in doing so, you just passively increase her resistance to be which allows her to be one of the highest resistance champions in the game without sacrificing anything else for it really. One of the problems if you go to build a really high resist champion, Maybe you have to use a resist chest plate. Well, that's going to really lower their defense or HP stats because those could be HP percent or defense percent on that chest piece instead of resistance. A resist banner. Well, now you don't have the benefits of the banner. Like, maybe they need to land debuffs, but you want them in high resist, that kind of stuff. Mithrala just passively gets very high resist. Now, she doesn't really have anything in her kit per se that's going to make her a high level, like, is it Mischief Tank? I think it's Mischief Tank, but tank to tank the head that steals buffs. She doesn't necessarily have like a self buff mechanic that's gonna keep those buffs on her, or because that head, for those of you that don't know, that head in Hydra targets the champion with the most buffs. So she doesn't have that functionality per se, but she is still good at other things, and if she does get targeted for whatever reason, she can resist very easily that mechanic. I used her I still use her all over the place, and she provides a ton of abilities, but having that resist also is very valuable when you have this cleanse. So let's say for Ice Golem, for instance, he slams, your whole team gets frozen, but Mithrala resists it with her massive resistance, and then she just cleanses everybody back, right? So stuff like that is what really makes Mithrala so good, and now we finally have her on day 200 and... wrong thing. 261. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that we got her at a pretty good time. Certainly I got her, I think, a lot faster than I did on my main account, to be honest. Despite that being a money account, I just never was able to develop the kinds of teams that I have here because I wasn't as good at the game at the time. But now I kind of have a better understanding of things. So very, very happy to have Mithrala. And I'm happy to be able to do that on camera. And, of course, get the Clan v Clan points as well. Now comes the big question about, like, well, what is next? Now, Mithrala, we can use her right away. Yes, she has a hefty cooldown on these abilities, right? But I think that's okay. Look, would I prefer this to be to a 3-turn cooldown? Absolutely. Would I... Hex, maybe not so much okay, because that on a 5-turn cooldown doesn't really change the game for Hydra that much for me. Also, real quick, I want to look at buffs and increased defense. Oh yeah, I guess I also did get Wixwell, who can do it now too. On an AoE, right? Yep. Now, I don't see myself using Wixwell and Mithrala together all that often, but there is yeah, Mithrala is just amazing. I'm just happy to finally have a real cleanser on the account that we can build up. Even at level 50, I do think she's going to be quite tanky and everything. Now, why wouldn't I 6-star her? I absolutely will. I definitely want to, but I think she's kind of second in line for books. Now, I did talk about in the last episode how I really made a big mistake. I accidentally booked my Carl instead of saving them for my Wixwell, which is a really big deal. If you don't have this ability on a 3-turn cooldown, which does take in of itself 5 books, I don't know that I can really get the kinds of teams that I want to make with it. And I'm a little nervous about that because I really want to take advantage of him now while I can. I don't think he's broken per se, but a lot of people got him, and have you seen some of the shields that people have been... people have been doing 1,500 turn runs on Clan Boss. That's a big deal. That's not that common in my experience, at least, which is minimal. But I don't know. I don't want him to get nerfed. I don't think he necessarily should be nerfed, but it is kind of a strong kit. So, but getting this down to a 3-turn cooldown will be a big part of it. And then, of course, we also need Anchorite in order to complete the team. Now, what I find interesting, and no one has really talked about, is I do feel like Anchorite could probably just do this at level 50. I don't think he necessarily... He's just extending buffs, and he's extending... He's going to survive because of the shield. So I do think that a booked out Anchorite doesn't necessarily have to be a level 60. I could have swore... There he is. I was like, I could have swore I put some... Nope, that's the extra copy I think I have. I think the main copy has some levels into them. Or did I not use any of my books? Alright. I don't know why I'm doing this the hard way. Man, I am just way off point when it comes to books, huh? So, we need to get him booked, which we're behind on. But I am going to use these 3 books right now and put them on Anchorite because he needs to be booked. We are definitely going to build that team, but I do think I can get away with him at level 50 because you don't... I mean, I know there's speed differences, but... I want to go one at a time because I really am not all that worried about the other cooldowns, right? I mean, it's already gone down, so fine. But I'm only using this one time in the fight now. I don't need to reduce that cooldown. And, of course, it goes into the A1. And, of course, the A1. All right. So, man, I maybe I'm learning I don't book on camera. Feels like every time I book on camera, I get some garbage. But... we're definitely going to get more epic books. And the next Clan v Clan that I'm in will be when I am able to commit 100% to the game. I'm going to have way more free time and play this game in a very dedicated fashion. And I'm very excited about that. So hopefully I'll gain enough legendary books over the next couple of, the next 2 weeks to get Wixwell built up a little bit more. And I'm certain we'll be able to finish Anchorite's booking. And that will give me the 3 buff extension champions that I need to really get that power out of Wixwell. So it was a big mistake that I made, like a very, very big mistake. I mean, that's 4, 5, 6 books that I used right there. And if we look at Wixwell, this would have been 2 books, and again this one was 5 books. So I mean, the likelihood that I actually would have landed them all in the A2 isn't great. So maybe I wouldn't have gotten this down to a 3-turn cooldown, but yeah, and even this too, because intercept is a big part of it. In order to get it on everybody quickly, we would also want this to be cooldown reduced. It's not as important, but we would. So, yeah, it sucks that I kind of made that mistake with the books, but it is what it is. I'll keep checking. Obviously, I've got way more clan gold now, so when books pop up in here, I can get them. Same with shards, and so on and so forth. So, and the good news is we are also about to progress through Doom Tower, which does have more epic books in it. And I think there's like, is there only Oh, there's no legendary books on this difficulty, just on hard difficulty. I also want to point out something that someone pointed out to me in the comments that I thought was very wise, and that was to do hard at least to some of the earlier stages of the bosses in order to get better level materials from the hard bosses in this particular rotation. That's a great idea. I would likely have to manual the only boss that I would want to farm in this rotation, which is Dark Fae. And unfortunately, with my life schedule right now, I playing the game has become an extreme challenge for me right now. So tomorrow is my last day off work for the next 7 days, including tomorrow. So I'll have tomorrow off. Then I work 6 days in a row. I may have said this on camera already. Then I work 6 days in a row, and then I have one day off. I'm going to be recording my videos for when I'm gone, and then I fly out to pick up my son and fly back, right? So I'm just going to be so busy the next couple of days that it's going to be difficult to play the game, unfortunately, especially across two accounts. And I'm doing my best, but for example, I barely was able to squeeze out the faction wars for barbarians today, which I've been so excited to push. I did complete it though, which did complete a mission that was before this, and so now I've managed to get up to this mission. But yeah, faction wars, I did do a little bit. I progressed further in barbarians, which I'm happy about, but that has been the last time barbarians came around. I didn't do it because I was just too busy to do faction wars and too busy to do some of the other areas of the game right now that I want to be progressing in and haven't. For example, I only used 2 Hydra keys this week on my main account because Hydra runs take several hours, and I usually would reserve that for a day off. But with everything going on and all the prep work I'm doing for the arrival, my son comes and spends the summers with me. Been I've been building furniture, reorganizing bedrooms, doing all that stuff. So, hey, look, I called it. I said short video. We're at 22 minutes. I'm going to end it here. So, my content, just very briefly, might slow down just a little bit. I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to stay as active as I can, but it's entirely possible that I may come home and collapse into my bed after work one of these days. I mean, it's going to be very, very long days, long week, and great reward at the end. I'm very excited for, but my content may suffer. However, it's the calm before the storm, if you will, because as soon as I'm done, as soon as summer starts, I will have a regular recording and streaming schedule, so you'll get to see a lot of stuff that I want to talk about live, maybe even give me input in my videos that you've seen in some of my other live stream videos. I hope to possibly do some collaborations, and there's a lot of things that I'm very excited to do here in the summer. So looking forward to that. Very, very happy to have you guys with me. Very excited for the future of both this and the main account. I'm going to be trying to max out that account, get as much progression in all of the dungeons, just get really top tier hard 10 dungeon farms that are 100% going, trying to improve my Hydra teams, and that's going to be some really interesting like high level progression stuff. And then we've got the free to play where, we're going to be finally, hopefully getting our potential 1 key or whatever type of key run. Maybe it's a 2 key, maybe it's a 1 key, who knows? But I'm very excited about getting a decent run going in that. And then we're finally going to have a champion now that can help us progress Hydra. We just really need to get those legendary books. So Yeah, I don't know that I've been this excited for this game in a while, and it comes at a time where I just can't play it. But I'll do my best to keep getting content out for you guys. The last thing that I want to say too, because I do need to record several videos before I go on my little mini weekend trip, 2 day trip, I should say. Not It's not over the weekend. Um, is there any videos that you want me to make? Is there any content that you've been wondering or wanted my opinion on or anything like that? Now, I did recently get a comment that I felt was interesting. Um, Hi, Roadblock. I think it says means question. Is it possible to build a team with Wixwell and other extenders for Iron Twins? I'm planning to use Geo as DPS. How do I find a tune for that, if possible? Are there any Iron Twin calculator? I'm not aware of any Iron Twins calculators. However, when it comes to using Wixwell in an Iron Twins team, that sounds very, very promising. Now, the only concern I have is Iron Twins does hit pretty heavy pretty early. So it is possible that you may not have enough time to build up the big shield, but if you do combine that with a uh, Geomancer, that should work pretty well because his passive you'd still get the full effect of his passive, I believe. I don't know for sure, but I believe when you're under shield buffs. So it may be an opportunity to come up with a really good team that has the survivability that you would want. I don't know for sure because he does hit quite hard towards the end. And you hit the end a lot quicker than you do in Clan Boss. I'm interested to test it because I think it's an interesting theory. But like I said, the biggest concern I have is when it comes to Clan Boss, you can get a lot of turns before he starts hitting hard. Um, and that will help you build up that shield and build up that shield and build up that shield. And then eventually you get to a point and it's like, okay, this shield is just so strong, and because it keeps getting stronger the more and more and more you do it, then you can push really late into these rounds. So I don't know for sure if you'd have the time to build up that shield against Iron Twins because it's a little bit faster, but um, who knows? So I'm gonna call that a video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed my content, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to support my channel, and it will really help me continue to create this content, especially as I kind of dip my toe into the full-time content creator kind of area. So looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.